Words matter, whether it's the words that we're saying out loud to other people or we're just hearing them in our own mind when we go through life and experience all the things that we experience. The things that we say really do influence what we believe about ourselves. And then those beliefs are what carry over into the actions we take and the results that we get. So we can create this big giant cycle where we're just always experiencing the same thing over and over again and not able to create the change that we desire because our words aren't matching up with what we want, but we're not sure how to break the cycle. So when I first learned about affirmations, I was really excited with the concept and had so many people share that they had, amazing experiences with repeating things that, just moved them really quickly in the direction that they wanted to go. And I had a little bit of that myself, but not nearly what I was looking for based on a lot of the experiences that I'd heard others people share. And what really made a difference for me was when I started adding, or I started to recognize, first of all, that the reason why the affirmations that I was just repeating over and over again weren't making an impact for me is because I didn't believe them. And one of the things that I have experienced in my own journey and my own awareness journey is realizing that I don't want to be on the hamster wheel. I don't want to be just going through the motions and not connected to the life I'm living and the actions that I'm taking. So for me to just be repeating an affirmation over and over again that I don't fully believe is very much out of integrity. And there are these alarms that start to show up that say, you're not successful. You're not beautiful. You're not wealthy, healthy, and strong. Like whatever the things are that I may have used as affirmations, if I didn't actually believe them, then all these alarms that were saying you're lying to yourself, you're lying to whoever's hearing you say these words, that being out of integrity, I think actually makes it harder for you to create the change or build the belief that the affirmation is intending to build. So, what I have learned to do in order to shift that is add some language that makes it into a phrase that my mind can believe and something that feels a little bit more like it's possible so that I am able to shift my thinking. Let me give you some examples. I wrote these down so I wouldn't lose track of them. So, bear with me. So, instead of saying I'm successful, if you're feeling like your business or your life isn't as successful as you thought it would be or that you wanted it to be, then just saying the words I'm successful isn't likely to help on its own. But what I've found is that adding a language that says I am willing to believe and then follow that up with whatever success means to you. So maybe it's I'm willing to believe that success comes in many forms and I'm already building that. And if it's I'm beautiful, there was a lot of time in my life when I couldn't look in the mirror and say that and believe it, or I would avoid looking in the mirror because I just didn't want to see what was on the other side. But when you can say, I'm willing to love and accept myself exactly as I am today, that has power. And that's a willingness, right? So even if those red flags are popping up and saying, I don't know, am I really willing to believe this? You get to choose each and every time that you say that phrase to say, okay, I am willing to accept myself exactly where I am today. I am willing to love myself, no matter how many flaws I may recognize when I see my image in the mirror. So, choosing the words that you attach to your affirmations so that they become something that you can actually believe and are still moving you towards that thing that you want to build or change in how you believe about yourself. So, the last example that I wanted to go through is if you're just saying, I am wealthy, healthy, and strong. And this was an affirmation that I remember saying quite often when I was struggling with a health challenge and I was having a lot of mental noise around why it was so difficult for me to overcome this thing because I was doing everything right, or I felt like I was doing everything right. And instead of just continuing to go through the motions and say the words over and over again that I knew I didn't actually believe, shifting that into I am willing to believe that I am creating wealth, health, and strength every time I invest in my physical, mental, and spiritual well being. and trusting that as you recognize these things becoming true in your life, as the words that you're saying become something that are more automatic and they're just embodied, you've actually taken on that new identity. It's not something that you have to shift the way that you're thinking about it anymore. It's just to who you are, that there will be another level of growth or another level of change that happens from there, but being flexible to what that is and realizing that, just because there's so many people talking about how amazing affirmations are, and they are, it doesn't mean that there's a one size fits all version that's going to turn your life upside down or get you everything that you want in a matter of, weeks or months or years even, right? Like, we're all on an individual journey. And that's what I think is so important to remember, is that we each have our own experiences that are influencing what we think and what we believe and how we show up in the world. And the level of attention and awareness that we give to the things that are those red flags showing up. Maybe it's the feeling that you have when you say the affirmation, or when someone asks you a question about something and you realize that you're not feeling really good about this thing that you're now trying to have a conversation about. The awareness that we have is something that helps us create something that feels a little bit more soft or more accepting or more in the direction of where we want to go. And I think that's where words can become a really powerful part of our experience and of the change that we want to make, when we're focused on what we're willing to believe about where we want to go, and not staying stuck in the reality that we might be frustrated by or really challenged with. And we know that there's change that's possible, but it's hard to get out of that when we're just stuck in the words that continue to perpetuate where we are instead of starting to shift us into where we want to go. So I hope that makes sense. The bigger message here is that affirmations aren't just a magic code for changing everything that you want to be in your life, but really finding the words that can support you as you're making those shifts in your own life experience. And yeah, I would love to know if there's anything about this or about affirmations that you've experienced that has helped you. Please let me know, share. I would love to, hear more from you about what has been true for you as you have noticed, or have you noticed the way that words show up in your own life and how they help or don't support the change that you want to make. So have a great day.